This is a GDI engine, and we are taking the cam and crank wheel. Sorry, I'm taking the injector and the ignition pipe and wave on this one. And for Ford Fusion, 1.6 liter. This same engine is in Escape and other Ford engines, and it's a 1.6 liter engine. So I'm taking the yellow trace is the direct injection pulses, and the green trace is the ignition. So you can see it on ignition. That's channel 1, and that's channel 2, and channel 1 is this one, is the yellow one. So you can see I've used an alternator to step it down, because the voltage, the minimum voltage is around 34 or 35 volts, and the channel 2 is having 4.4 volts, which is the ignition command from the PCM. So with this one, you can see it's on a small screen, so you can't see it that much. And with this one, I can change the time base so that you can get more view of the direct injection or the direct injector waveform. So let's go and change the time base on this one. So whenever I change the time base, the ignition waveform will go off because of the I'm expanding the time wave. So what I'll do is go to time, then change the time. So you can see this 5.0 milliseconds. So let me go back to microsecond rather. So you can see as I change it now, you can see the ignition wave on it again. So when I go down, you can see them now, they appear 2. You can see them appearing 2, and the ignition also is appearing 2. I am on ignition 1. I'm on ignition 1 and injector 1, which is the direct. So you can see them now. So let me change it to microseconds, so you can see as I'm changing it. So you can see the pattern of the ignition waveform. So now what I'll do now is I'll change my trigger, then go to time base, go to channel, then bring the let me change the channel to channel 1 and bring it down a bit. So I'll use the time base to move it a bit. So this is how you set your scope for the time base. So you can see now I'm using 500 microseconds, then 10 volts. The 10 volts is per division, and because I'm using this attenuator, this one is 20:1. So now you can see the pattern, the injection pattern and everything in it. So when I increase the time base, now you can see the pattern is expanded. So when I want to reduce it and I increase it, you can see how it is working now. And I'll move to a different injector also, so that we see the pattern. So I've changed it, and now you can see the pattern. So when I expand it, you can see the pattern. So that means maybe there could be an issue with my injector 1 because of the way it is behaving. And you can see this one, you can see the pattern, and I go to time base so that I can move it so that you see the whole thing on the screen. So the time base is used to zoom in or zoom out the waveform that you want to see. So now let me go to time base again and change. Let me decrease it so you can see it now. My current amp is having a low battery, so I'll go and change it, then I'll set it up. So this one I'm going to do the same on my Maziscope. I'm going to do the same using the Maziscope. and I'll check the frequency and everything. But with this one I can't check the frequency. So this is the pattern of a direct injector. So this is the pattern. So when it's open, then closing it, and because of the heat, so I'll check. So you can see I'm having an issue with that injector. So when I go on that injector, you can see it could be that it's not an issue, but I don't know why when he heated up it started behaving this way. So what I'll do now is I'll change the pin to the down and the down injector and check it also. And that one also is behaving that same way, like the way the other one is behaving. So let me check something here. And you can see this one is a stable one. Let me check. Let me check here again and see if maybe. So now it is stable. So I think it was a connection. It was a pin fitment issue. That's why it was behaving that way. So now you can see it's stable now. And I'm on the down injector which was behaving that way. So it is a pin fitment issue. So now I'll move to the bigger screen and let me check this one also. And you can see the top one also is stable now. So it's not a problem with the injectors, but rather it was a pin fitment issue or pin issue. So you can see the pattern of the injector, the direct injectors. So after this, maybe the next video will be on taking the pattern on normal injectors. So this is for the direct injector. So now I'll transfer everything to my Maziscope. Now I have transferred everything to my Maziscope. So what I'll do now is I'll go to settings. I'll go to settings and choose a probe and select the probe and choose. I'm using 20:1 on channel 1. I'm having an so now you see the other one we choose 10 volts on that actuator. So this one I'll push it up a bit and change the time base to this. But first, before I do that, let me turn on and change it to DC and 5 volts. And see, I'm having problem with my channel B. So I'm just trying to see if it will work, and if it doesn't work, then I'll take it out. And the problem is with my other scope, you see this one is not working properly because I've not grounded the channel A. But with this scope, when you ground only one channel, it affects both. But with this scope, you have to ground them individually. So what I'll do now is let me ground the channel A and get back. So now you can see I've set it up, and I have set, let me take the minimum, then the maximum voltage, then the frequency of the ignition of the injectors. So now you can see. Now let me change the time base also so that I can get more. But with this I can just, you can see sometimes the frequency comes, sometimes it doesn't come. And now what I can do now is turn off so that I can get a bigger screen. So you can see when I change the time base to 20 milliseconds, you can see now I'm getting the ignition and the crank pattern. So I can even zoom it in. So let me pause it and zoom. So let me zoom on one pattern and see. So you can see that after zooming in, there is the pattern like it was on the other one. So when you come here, I'll pause this one so that we can see the pattern. So you can see the pattern, and that's the same thing. So let's count the number of, oh no, let's count the number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Then this hump, let's count this one 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Then the hump. So you can see it is the same thing on this scope. So I can zoom it in or zoom it out. That's one thing I like about the scope. But if you worked on the PC also, so now it's working on the PC. Then when I move it, you can see the ignition also will come out. So with this one, if you want to measure the time or the rate, let's measure the time first. So let me pick a time, a rule, and here, and another rule also to this pattern. Okay, let's say this one to this part. So it's around 2.6 milliseconds. No, it's too much. It's around 2.6 milliseconds. I think it ended here, and these ones are when it was closing, because I know for this pattern they are in milliseconds. The last time I checked, one was around 1 point something millisecond. So I think these ones are when it closed. So these patterns are when it closed. So I think the main one will be this. But now, if I can say anything, I have to add an amp clamp to it, so that I can use the amp clamp. I can use my amp clamp to check. So let's say this is the. So I know for direct injectors they are in microsecond. So let's say this amp. Oh, sorry. So now you can see when I start it again. Okay, let me also measure the time based on this one. No, this one I can't measure the time based, but okay, let me do that. I can do that. So let me go to menu. Focus. Okay, now let me go to menu. Then let me go to menu. Then in the menu, I'm sorry for the glare. I'm trying to focus on it. Let me go to menu. Then the menu, I go to console, then change this one to time base, then on channel 1. So let me lock my so on time base, so you can see the violet line. So those are the violet line. Let me go back to menu, console, then so now let me move one. So let me move one. So you can see now I selected this one and it is moving. So it also give me the time base like the one gave me. Then let me go to 2, then the violet, so you can watch the violet line. So you can watch the violet line that they are moving. The violet line that are moving. Oh, let me go to, then the violet line that are moving. So those ones are the time. So you can see 54 millivolts, 554 millivolts. And let me also check it here again. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Bring this in. Zoom, 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 zoom. Ah. Then measure it. 1, then 2. So it should be around the same. So you can see. So it's around the same point. 50 millivolts. So you can see I can use this scope also to measure. So when I go back to menu and go to console, then I get it. So you can see, let me focus it so that you see. So you can see microseconds. So this is how you take a direct injector waveform. You use the alternator to save your scope, or if you like, you wouldn't use it and do other ways. So I also prepare to add a amp clamp to it and see.